Thank you for your honesty. Don't you see the way you contradict yourself so violently? If there is no mind prior to the human mind, morality is relative.
Right. Well, I don't know.
Follow that line of thinking or not? Am I great?
Yeah, I do. But I think the best way to summarize what I'm saying is there's some quote, I don't know who said it, but God created man as image, and man, being a gentleman, then created God in his image. So the way I look at it is that we injected all our moral precepts that come from inside into something, we call it God, in order to organize human beings. Yeah, much easier. So what difference does it make whether...
Fine. Then at least be honest enough to acknowledge morality is relative. And don't stand there talking to me about moral absolutes. That is nonsensical. If there is no God, if you are going to be an atheist or an agnostic, be consistent and say morality is relative. And don't tell me that what happened on September 11th to the World Trade Center, that there's something absolutely evil. No way. It's just all relative, man.
I wouldn't say it's absolutely evil.
Good. Say it's absolutely evil. And if your sister gets raped, there's nothing absolutely evil about that. It might be wrong from your perspective, but obviously from the perspective of the rapist, it's just fine. And you certainly wouldn't be arrogant enough to lay your relative arbitrary prejudices of what morality is on another human being, would you? Because that would be horribly arrogant. So instead, if you're a moral relativist, you acknowledge the opposite of my opinions about gay bashing, aborting babies, battered wives. I don't obviously know what you feel about those, but if you're a moral relativist, obviously you've got to be consistent, which means the opposite of what I feel on those ethical positions is equally valid as my position.
Well, it's kind of interesting considering I being an agnostic, I'm appalled at what happened on September 11th, but yet, you know, these men who believe so strongly in a God that they would go, as you say, as Dostoevsky would say, and as you pointed out, stepped over, went beyond the permissible, committed these atrocious acts in the name of God.
Thank you for your honesty. Don't you see the way you contradict yourself so violently? You are appalled by what happened September 11th. You cannot live out your moral relativism. In fact, I've never met a moral relativist who has lived out their moral relativism. Because at some point in life, you're going to fall back on moral absolutes, and you're going to say, I'm appalled by that. I'm sorry, you can't. If you're a moral relativist, you could just simply say, from my perspective, that's wrong. But my perspective is obviously arbitrary, it's obviously relative, it's just my own bias. Cannot live out moral relativism, guys. It's impossible. None of you do. And that's why I'm so grateful a bunch of my moral relativist friends, after September 11th, are going back and reconsidering their moral relativism. Because they know that their experience of life violently contradicts moral relativism. It doesn't hold water. It's bankrupt, guys.